This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Friday, the 28th day of March in the year 2025. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here is what we're tracking tonight. Prominent Guyanese activist Melissa Holder, known as Melly, was today ordered released by a U.S. immigration judge on the payment of a $7,500 bond. Holder appeared before Judge Mwingi Francis this morning via video conference from a detention center in Louisiana, where she has been held since being taken into custody by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security 2 weeks ago. Dressed in a khaki detention outfit with her hair braided and holding on to a book, the activist entered her name into the system as Melissa Holder. The court heard that her appearance was in relation to an accusation of her overstaying her time in the U.S. However, when her attorney Joyce Booth informed the court that she has been married to a U.S. citizen for the past 2 years and shares a home with her husband, the judge questioned the prosecutor whether the marriage should not have taken over the overstaying issue. Holder's attorney informed the court that an immigrant petition for a spouse of a U.S. citizen has already been approved for Holder, but the adjustment of status is pending. In the bond application, the attorney also informed the court that Holder has no criminal record and no other matter that should prevent her from being granted bond and was not a flight risk. The U.S. Counsel, Keone Cochran, in response told the court that the defendant is a visa overstayer. However, she admitted that Holder has no criminal record and has no other charge other than the one for overstaying. It was then that the judge inquired whether, having been married to a U.S. citizen, whether she was not entitled for a waiver for the overstay. The court has ordered that Holder's attorney submits copies of the I-485 application to the court no later than the 18th of April. In hearing the application for bond, the court heard that Holder is not a threat to the U.S. national security, nor is she a flight risk. The U.S. prosecutor agreed with the information from the defense, saying that it matches the records at her disposal. She did not object to bond and left it up to the court. At one point, Holder's attorney said she could not understand why her client was arrested in the first place and was placed before the court. The judge said he was granting bond in the sum of $7,500 and thereby ordered Holder's release on the payment of that bond. Having been informed that she lives in Brooklyn, New York with her husband, the judge also ordered that the matter be transferred to that district. The outspoken activist is expected to return to New York as early as this evening. Her arrest and detention in the U.S. triggered widespread condemnation in Guyana by many of her supporters and even the political opposition. The government of Guyana has been accused of triggering her arrest with its many complaints against her over her social media activism, which has included several serious allegations of corruption against the government of Guyana. More news coming up in a moment.
It all starts with one. Maybe it's one look, you know the one, or one touch, even one word. It can start with one step, or one promise, one thrill, one first time, one deep breath, one leap of faith, one day to remember, or one night to forget. One moment, so many stories that make up one crazy, average, everyday, fabulous life. We get one life, just one. Make your move. It all starts with one.
Your own home is so much more than just 4 walls, floors, and ceilings. It's a lifetime of great memories and stories. Come talk to us and start your journey home today.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Attorney General Anil Nandlal clashed today with the Counsel for the Guyana Elections Commission, Curtis Silva, in the High Court over the issue of residency for regional elections. This came after the acting Chief Justice Roxanne George delayed her ruling in the house-to-house verification case to hear additional submissions. Relying heavily on Article 73(1) of the Constitution, the GECOM counsel Curtis Silva went at lengths to explain that residency is still a constitutional requirement for Guyanese to vote in regional elections, and addresses provided by persons seeking to register for those elections must be verified. Article 73(1) states that members of a regional democratic council shall be elected by persons residing in the region and registered as elections for the purpose of Article 159. He argued that traditionally, general and regional elections in Guyana have been held simultaneously using a single list of electors, because prior to 2022, the addresses provided by persons seeking to register were verified in accordance with the National Registrations Act. With the passage of the National Registration Amendment Act of 2022, a verification of residence is no longer required when registering to vote in the general elections. However, the Silva maintains the requirement is still constitutionally in place for regional elections. He told the court that the general and regional elections have been held together for decades, but also what was also done for decades is that persons were registered on the basis of their residence. All of that, he said, changed in 2022. He said the amendments in 2022 have given rise to particular challenges that must be addressed. And he maintained that verification of residence must be done before anyone is allowed to register for regional elections. He said anyone voting for a regional democratic council must, in addition to being registered, be residing in the region. He also told the court that in amending the National Registration Act, the government failed to take into consideration other important provisions provided for both regional and local elections. But the arguments by De Silva did not sit well with the Attorney General Anil Nandlal, who told the court that the council's position contradicts the position of the Elections Commission. Nandlal told the court that Article 159, which sets the conditions for voting in Guyana, is superior to that of Article 73 and must be upheld. That article, he said, clearly establishes that residency is not a requirement for voting in Guyana. As such, he argued that the verification of residence is not required for either general or regional elections, noting that the Registrations Act was amended in 2022 to bring it in conformity with the Constitution, more so Article 159. He said once someone provides an address, it matters not. It could be the High Court building. That is the address, and that is the address, and all they need is an address for it to determine where they will vote. He said too that De Silva's arguments are deeply flawed. He said the application brought by the PNC Reform Chief Scrutineer Carol Smith-Joseph is nothing more than a red herring. The Chief Justice announced that she will now hand down her ruling in the matter on the 3rd of April. Well, hours after President Irfan Ali on Thursday declared that the U.S. is a friend that should be afforded preferential treatment, the Chinese embassy here in Georgetown appeared to have taken umbrage, releasing a number of posters on its social media explaining its trade relations with Guyana over the years. The Chinese embassy said the relations between Guyana and China have always been solid. The embassy said China has always put China-Guyana friendship first, and that China honors its commitment with concrete actions. According to the embassy, as a matter of fact, China has participated fully at the biggest economic and social transformation in the history of Guyana, and that facts and figures speak louder than anything else. In recent years, the U.S. has expressed concern with China's growing influence in Latin America and the Caribbean. But the Chinese embassy explained that China has been pushing infrastructure development and is willing to continue that in Guyana, along the line with greater collaboration. The embassy said over the past 12 years, China-Guyana trade volume has increased from $180 million in 2013 to $1.4 billion in 2024. The embassy said China is willing to deepen the alignment between the Belt and Road Initiative and Guyana's Low Carbon Development Strategy 2030 and elevate the level of high-quality Belt and Road cooperation between the two countries. The quick response from China appears to be in direct response to statements made by President Irfan Ali at a joint press conference with the U.S. Secretary of State at State House yesterday, and Rubio's own concerns about China during his Caribbean visit.
And I would say very boldly that such friends must have some different and preferential treatment, because a friend who will defend me when I need a friend to defend me must be a friend that enjoys some special place in our heart and in our country, and that will be the case.
The Chinese embassy has also detailed several projects that China is currently undertaking in Guyana, including the new Demerara Bridge, China-Guyana Jovera Park, the construction of 6 new regional hospitals, and the East Coast Demerara Road Project. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the FAO, and the International Labour Organization have teamed up under the Fish for Cap project to help Guyana revitalize fishing cooperatives in the country and empower fisherfolk. Fish for Cap, an initiative of the African, Caribbean, and Pacific Group of States, was implemented by the FAO with funding from the EU, that's the European Union, and the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development. It is designed to improve the productivity and competitiveness of the Atlantic sea bob fishery. At an inception workshop yesterday, the FAO representative Dr. Gillian Smith said the partnership among the FAO, the ILO, the EU, and Guyana's Ministry of Agriculture will result in a win-win situation for all. Dr. Smith said the Fish for Cap project will increase partnerships among the artisanal fisherfolk and provide them with much-needed support. She also said here in Guyana, the Fish for Cap project initially focused on strengthening the sea bob industry, a move that saw Guyana receiving the Marine Stewardship Council certification for its sea bob industry.
And this is an important certification because it opens up the sea bob sector to having better and more lucrative markets. This certification helps to be able to open up markets such as the EU market, which places a high value on sustainably sourced seafood. The certification helps to ensure that Guyana's sea bob meets these standards.
And the head of the European Commission in Guyana, Ambassador René Van Ness, said Guyana remains the world's most dominant producer of sea bob, and the EU stands committed to supporting the livelihood of the small fisherfolk, who play an important role in the sustainable development of the industry. The component of the project is being launched at a time when just over 5 of the 26 fishermen cooperatives are functioning in accordance with the Cooperative Societies Act, and that's according to the Chief Cooperative Officer. He said that other cooperatives have been plagued by poor management and in some cases corruption, resulting in some members withholding subscription and landing fees and giving rise to disputes. He said the project will undoubtedly help to strengthen fisherfolk in Guyana and increase partnership among them for the betterment of the sector. The partners are also expected to work together to help cooperatives to meet export and international market requirements that will support the rest of the Caribbean community.
Your own home is so much more than just 4 walls, floors, and ceilings. It's a lifetime of great memories and stories. Come talk to us and start your journey home today.
Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
Now to that election fraud case. The prosecution in the case has objected to a proposal by the defense for the chairperson of the Guyana Elections Commission, retired Judge Claudette Singh, to form part of the witness pool to visit the Ashman's building, which housed the GECOM command center when the 2020 elections descended into chaos. It was earlier proposed that 3 prosecution witnesses would form part of the witness pool to participate in a site visit. However, while the defense did not object to the 3 witnesses, Rosalinda Razul, Sonia Parag, and Alicia Mohammed, as proposed by the prosecution, it has called for the GECOM chair to be added to the pool of witnesses to participate in the visit. Defense attorney UC Anderson told the court that except for the chairperson and the then IT manager at GECOM, all other GECOM officials who were integral to the process have been charged. He said no observer or party agent can better describe and explain the layout of the command center than the GECOM officials. Rising in objection, prosecutor Lachmi Rahamat reminded the court that it was the prosecution's case. She said the prosecution is entitled to say which of its witnesses it would like to be on the site visit. However, she admitted that the court has the jurisdiction to give directives if it so believes that any other witness should be present. Due to the lack of consensus on the witness pool to visit the Ashman's building, the acting chief magistrate Faith Magusti said in addition to sourcing photos of the building at the time of the election dispute, the court will decide on the visit and the pool of witnesses to visit. Both sides have acknowledged that since 2020, the Ashman's building has undergone repair works and the transformation of its own since GECOM no longer occupies it. The Minister of Local Government, Sonia Parag, is the next witness expected to take the stand. The case will resume on the 20th of May. Several members of civil society, including the press, today protested outside the office of the Commissioner of Information over the lack of access to information in Guyana. Retired Court of Appeal Judge and former Attorney General Charles Ramsden Sr. was returned as the Commissioner of Information in 2022 after he was removed from the post in 2017 by the then APNU-AFC administration. He has been running his office from his East Street, Georgetown residence. Standing outside of the Commissioner's office today, Attorney-at-Law Christopher Ram said the Office of the Commissioner of Information has a statutory duty and obligation to ensure that citizens are provided with information of the state that is not specifically barred under the Access to Information Act. However, he said today citizens are being barred from accessing information.
But this commissioner is more concerned with title, call me this and call me that. Call me Justice Ramsden, and is, quite frankly, in popular parlance, you would have to say he's commissioner of no information. Our intention is to draw attention to the inoperation of the act, to get the president and the government to have the act with all its flaws, as they say it has, to get it operationalized.
Mr. Ram said the act must be brought into effect and operationalized, even as steps are taken to address the laws.
But to leave citizens in an election year, in a year when you hear billions of dollars are issued by way of tax certificates, and we can't see a single certificate, and they have fudged, they've dodged, they've diverted every single thing between the Office of the Commissioner of Information and the government.
Adding his voice to the issue, former Auditor General Anand Gulsaran told news source that he too experienced difficulties accessing information through the Office of the Commissioner of Information while serving as head of the Transparency Institute of Guyana.
I've experienced difficulties when I was president of Transparency to access information, and we didn't get the information. And now the people have, civil society activists and many other people have tried, but we're not getting information. And recently we were asking about the tax certificates,
Also on the picket line today was the editor-in-chief of the Stabroek News, Anand Pasad. Mr. Pasad said it was time for President Irfan Ali to address the issue of lack of access of information in the country.
It's totally disgraceful that this office isn't functioning, hasn't functioned since 2011, and it's time. The onus is now on President Ali to do something about this. He can't continue to allow this masquerade to go on as if we do have the semblance of an Access Information Act. We don't.
He said the commissioner continues to receive a hefty salary while doing nothing. And leader of the Alliance for a Change, Nigel Hughes, along with a number of AFC members, were also present at the protests. And Mr. Hughes said Guyanese should not be barred from accessing pertinent information on decisions taken by the government.
Information is the lifeblood of any sort of modern country. The Fourth Estate, your profession, is a key guarantor of that. In this contemporary society, access to information about what the government is doing with your money is an absolute right. We need, first of all, to enshrine it in the Constitution. It should be a protected right of every citizen to access information about what the government is doing with their resources. And that right means that literally, as you demand that information, you should get it within a specified time.
He said the act needs teeth, and the single man has been put in charge with no real intention of providing citizens with information. The former mayor of Georgetown, Ubraj Narayan, was also among those persons on the picket line today. A 30-year-old Chinese national who was found at a hotel with over $50 million in local cash along with a quantity of foreign currency in her possession is facing money laundering charges. The accused, Ying Xing is facing 7 counts of money laundering. The matter was filed by the Special Organized Crime Unit of the Guyana Police Force. During a court appearance, the accused was not required to enter a plea to the 7 indictable charges, and the court also heard that she was previously charged with the unlawful possession of a firearm and ammunition. On the money laundering charges, the accused was granted bail in the sum of $1.5 million on each of the charges. In a separate money laundering matter, she was placed on $200,000 bail in relation to that particular matter when she appeared in a separate courtroom. SOCU has stated that its investigation started last year when the police found a large stash of cash in the woman's room at the Princess Ramada Hotel. The police also said that the woman had acquired several properties and motor vehicles, which are suspected to have been derived either directly or in part from the proceeds of crime. According to the head of the Special Organized Crime Unit, Deputy Commissioner Fazil Karimbash, the money laundering investigations have been ongoing for the past 8 months. He said several other money laundering investigations are ongoing.
Yeah, you already know it's yours truly, Nanny Katoy, the queen of zest.
If you take people, man, clap your hand, boy. If you take people, man, clap your hand,
Wait, Bobby?
Hi, Granny.
You know the Nelly song?
How you mean? Plus, she coming for a creek explosion Sunday, April 20th.
Creek explosion? Which creek? And is who bringing she?
The creek by Splash Main, Aziza Akusa, and his Team Extra bringing she.
Team Extra? Let me call Freddie.
Hello, Granny.
Hi, bye.
What going on?
You bringing Nelly Katoy and you even put me on the show? Like you was a kunumunu or what?
Don't say fat, you're booking you now.
Galang, Granny.
Let me see the flyer. Female dancing competition over 160,000 given away, plus male dance off for 1 motorbike.
Music by Bobby Kush, DJ Magnum, DJ Garwin, David Hype, and Papa Feelings.
I giddy up and get your early bird tickets for $2,000 at Team Extra Stabrook Market, Just Your Size Boutique, White Castle Fish Shop, and Fireside Sweets. Brick Explosion, compliments of Fireside and Team Extra.
It all starts with one. Maybe it's one look, you know the one, or one touch, even one word. I can start with one step, or one promise, one thrill, one first time, one deep breath, one leap of faith, one day to remember, or one night to forget. One moment, so many stories that make up one crazy, average, everyday, fabulous life. We get one life, just one. Make your move. It all starts with one.
Guyana's economy is rapidly transforming, and we're all part of it. GuyOil is at the forefront of this development by providing reliable and efficient energy and supporting community development from the very core. 100% of GuyOil's profit goes back to building schools, roads, and other important infrastructure that connects our cities and towns, providing fuel to domestic, marine, industrial, and aerial transportation. GuyOil has now repositioned itself as a market leader in the petroleum industry, building a better future for all of us.
With your regional and international news tonight, I am Svetlana Marshall in the region. For now, the Dragon gas deal is not dead. In fact, the Trinidadian government is still moving at full speed to fulfill the energy arrangement with Venezuela. This was confirmed by Prime Minister Stuart Young at Thursday's post-cabinet media briefing at Whitehall, Port of Spain, a day after he met with United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio for bilateral talks on energy security and other issues in Jamaica on Wednesday. Trinidad and Tobago Guardian in a report said while the initial communique released by the U.S. government concerning the meeting did not include the issue of talks about the cross-border gas field deals TNT has in place with Venezuela, Prime Minister Young said he did raise the topic with the secretary. However, he said the other half of the gas field in Trinidad waters, Manatee, would still be in play should the Dragon deal be impacted by U.S. policy. He pointed out that Shell is continuing work in relation to the project in Mexico, and work is also being done in Trinidad on the construction of the platform for the Dragon field. The Prime Minister said the discussion concerning the deal will continue to be held with the U.S. government. A 48-year-old man wanted in the United States for smuggling over US $1 million in cocaine into that country is now set to be extradited after suffering yet another legal battle. Delivering an oral judgment after hearing lengthy submissions at the Hall of Justice Tuesday morning, appellate judges Mark Mohammed, Peter Rajkumar and Ronnie Budu Singh rejected Sherlan Charkey Gupti's appeal over a judge's decision to dismiss his challenge against his proposed extradition to the U.S. Justice Mohammed, who delivered the panel's unanimous judgment, said the High Court judge could not be faulted for handling of Gupti's case. Gupti filed the lawsuit after Acting Chief Justice Magistrate Christine Charles approved extradition proceedings brought by the Office of the Attorney General on behalf of the U.S. on July 31 last year. And finally tonight, international news. At least 144 people have died and hundreds are injured in Myanmar following a 7.7 magnitude earthquake, an army official said. Tremors from the earthquake have been felt in neighboring countries, including Thailand, where an unfinished high-rise has collapsed. 81 construction workers are missing, the Thai Deputy Prime Minister says, and a search and rescue operation is underway. Dramatic images showing damaged buildings in Myanmar, while video shows a rooftop pool in Bangkok splitting over the sides of a swaying building. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Svetlana Marshall, wishing you a pleasant weekend.